class do you see yourself as?
I mean, I would like to say monk, but I don't know. I'm multi-classed, you know.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, fighter, gunslinger, has to be. Hello, my friends. This is Getty with Georgia Firing Line, and for those of you who know me outside of my social media role here at Georgia Firing Line, you also know that I'm one of our coaches here and that we run an extensive level of classes for those of you interested in shooting better. And in this video, I want us to look at a very under-practiced and underdeveloped skill for those of us who can still carry with a handgun, and that's simply drawing the gun while your hands are busy. What I'm going to show you today is how your busy hands might change your draw, as well as how to practice this both in your live and your dry fire settings. So in order for you to practice this, you're going to need some equipment. And today I'm going to be using a Glock 17 with a Coolfire trainer equipped in an Incog X from Safariland. The other piece of equipment you're going to need is something that goes in your other hand. I like to use empty ammo boxes because it's got no weight to it and it's kind of the size of most of our cell phones. You could, of course, do this with your cell phone, but you're going to be replacing a lot of screens because it requires dropping it. So for those of us who have had a little bit of practice or a little bit of professional training about drawing your gun from a concealed position, we know that you're going to have to reveal the gun from the cover garment. This is typically done by the support hand. If there's something in the support hand, I'm going to give you 5 seconds to answer this question in the comment section below. What do you do if there's something in your support hand? If your answer was throw it to your opponent, you're wrong. Go ahead and grab that for me, please. Sorry. If your answer was to carefully stow away the object in your hand, well, likely that's also going to be incorrect. And if your answer comes from the warrior poet Snoop Dogg and you drop it like it's hot, that's probably the best thing to do. So it's a very simple thing to practice, and I'm going to go over precisely how you set this up and how to get the most out of it. If you own a shot timer, I recommend that you set your par time to whatever your average or your normal draw is when you're trying to draw the gun quickly. For those of you who have never done this before, I recommend that you set that par time to somewhere in the neighborhood of 1.5 to 2 seconds. And this is going to be the time from the beep for you to drop the object, reveal the gun, draw it, see your dot or see your sights, and have a finger prepped on the trigger before the end of the second beep. If you don't own a shot timer, just do your best and perform to the best of your ability, making sure that you're checking all those boxes as well. That by the end of the procedure, you have the gun in your hand with a good grip established, you can see your target, and you can see the gun relative to what's going on. We call that aiming. So what does it look like in practice? One thing that I generally recommend is I recommend that we use our imagination on our empty ammo box, and I'm imagining a touch screen and we're texting or we're doing something. This can be with both hands on it most likely, and I want to be clear, I'm not teaching you to not look at your thread and look at the object in your hand. Relax, internet. What we're doing is we're putting ourselves in a position that we are likely going to be found in if we're taken by surprise by something. And the stimulus can be whatever you'd like. If you have a shot timer, make the stimulus to go your beep. If you don't have a shot timer, use your imagination and just go when you're ready to perform. So now for our first rep together, I'm going to turn and face my target dead on. I'm going to put my imaginary object or my phone in my hands, and I'm going to start typing my message to Mike about how badly I want to run my fingers through his beard. So as I'm sitting here pushing buttons on the phone, whenever I'm ready to go, I'm going to drop the object, I'm going to clear the garment, grab the gun, see the sights, and prep the trigger all in one motion. That I would consider to be a solid rep. Now carefully, finger comes off the trigger, reveal the garment, look the gun into the holster as I cover it back up, and we're ready to begin again. Pick up my thing real quick. Don't look at my butt, internet. Now it's important to understand that you can slide your variables in any direction as your training dictates. So if you find this to be too easy based on the time frame, well, bump the time frame up and try to see if you can hit that sub-second draw from the busy hands. It's harder than you think, and I recommend you at least give it a shot. So now we're going to go into the range and we're going to look at this in live fire and see what changes can be made, and we're going to experiment with some timing here and see how well we can perform. So now we are in the range in order to practice the busy hands exercise or the busy hands drill. And we're going to set this up the exact same way that we did in our dry practice. So I have my Smith & Wesson in the holster ready to go. I've got a target in front of me. It really doesn't matter the distance. This is whatever you need to be doing right now. I've got it set to about 7 yards so I can give myself a little bit of a challenge. When the timer goes off, I'm going to drop the item in my hand. I'm going to complete my draw stroke, and I'm going to put somewhere between 1 and 6 rounds into the target. This entirely depends on what you're trying to work on. One shot is excellent to measure how complicating the draw affects your timing. Multiple shots is good to test the entire thing together and its structural integrity. So first we're going to fire one and we're just going to measure what difference it makes when I'm slightly distracted. Stand by. Okay, so we have a draw and fire one in 146. So 146 for my practice at this distance, there's definitely an impact because something else was happening with my hands. So let's dive into that just a little bit and see if we can make it a little more efficient. There was a little bit of confirmation in there. I'm going to call that roughly a tenth, maybe two of confirmation. So I'm going to see if I can clean up what my support hand is doing after I drop the object. Stand by. Okay, dot was a little high on top of the circle, but a 135, we took a tenth off, but the path that the support hand took felt better, and that's the point of the exercise. So now, I'm gonna put a little more challenge on the next couple of reps, and now we're gonna turn it into draw and fire 2. It just come to my attention that I was wearing 2 sets of iPro, so now when I'm texting Mike on my imaginary phone here, I'm just gonna say thank you for letting me know that I looked silly in the video. So all we're gonna change here is now I'm adding a second shot. So there's a little bit of a test here for my grips and my vision. So this one is draw and fire 2. Thank you, Mike, for letting me. I try to overcomplicate things by talking while I do it. It's kind of fun. So that was a 161. Draw was a 143 with an 18 split. Both shots are in. Both shots are accounted for. So I saw everything I needed to see. I felt what I needed to feel. And most importantly, the path that the support hand took to get to the garment, I felt was cleaner than it was in the very, very beginning. Dropping the object is surprisingly harder than you think. And I really recommend that you guys give this one a shot, both in live fire and in dry fire. Now we're going to kick it back to the studio and wrap this whole thing up. So the busy hands exercise is something I highly recommend that you practice because for those of us who can still carry, it's a valuable skill and it's something that, in my opinion, is very underutilized and very underpracticed. This is an exercise that we do in classes quite frequently, so if you'd like to get involved in our training program, make sure you check out the Zemu link down below and we'll be more than happy to get you guys involved with us. And just a reminder, this is something you can do here at our home range as well. You're welcome to draw the gun as long as you can do so safely. It's the only thing we ask for. My name is Getty. Y'all be safe. Now I'm going to go ahead and start typing my imaginary message to Mike about how handsome he looks while driving his Corvette with those gigantic sunglasses that he has. So I'm pushing, I hear you, and I'm going to begin typing my imaginary message to Mike about how badly I want to drive his Corvette.